Let me tell you something, there are people who walk into a fancy restaurant and act like they own the place. Then there are people who walk in hungry, give away their bread before they even order, and thank the quiet kid at the table, not the guy sitting across from them. That's exactly what Ellie Morales did. She wasn't looking for love that night, honestly. She wasn't looking for anything but a warm meal after a brutal double shift. The only reason she said yes to this blind date was because her best friend promised the food would be good, and yeah, it had been a long week. She had no idea the little boy doodling on the menu beside her was the son of the man who owned the whole place, or that this wasn't just a date, but some kind of test like life didn't already throw enough of those her way. She didn't know this dinner would change everything. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's just a kid's question that flips your whole world upside down. Can we keep her? Now, Ellie hadn't had a decent meal in days. Between pouring bad coffee for people who wouldn't look her in the eye and packing boxes in a warehouse that smelled like cardboard dreams, she hardly ever ate. Nights, she worked at a community center, folding blankets, wiping up after kids. No complaints. Her mama always said, "Don't let them know you're hungry. They'll feed you, sure, but you'll lose their respect." That stuck with her. So when her friend Mariana set up this blind date, at Learade, kind of place with glass water you're scared to touch, Ellie almost bailed. She didn't have a dress, just clean jeans, a hand-me-down coat, and nerves. Still, she went because sometimes the universe is less about hope and more about just not wanting to argue. Upstairs, Luis Cavano watched. The staff thought he was the quiet manager. No idea he owned this restaurant and a dozen more. After his wife died, the attention, the whispers, it all got to be too much. Everyone he met wanted something: money, a story, a piece of his heart on a silver tray. So he stopped trying. Until one night, his 6-year-old son Nico whispered, "Maybe we could find someone who's kind, not fancy." And Luis thought maybe kindness is rarer than gold. That's how these little tests started. If a woman could sit with Nico for 5 minutes, just 5, without sighing, looking bored, or asking when the real guy would show up, maybe she was worth a second look. So far, 5 had failed. Number 6 Eli walked in 6 minutes early. Hostess barely smiled, led her to a window table where Nico was busy with crayons and paper. "Hi," she said, gentle. Nico didn't answer, just kept drawing. Hostess said, "He's with Mr. Cavano. Your date is running late." Ellie shrugged, sat down. No phone, no menu, just her and a silent kid. When the bread came, Ellie didn't hesitate, broke off the crusty end, the good part, and slid it to Nico. "You look hungrier than me," she murmured. The kid looked up, surprised, then took it. Upstairs, Luis caught his breath. He hadn't staged that. But watching Ellie, tired but genuine, offer her only bread to a stranger's kid, it cracked something open in him. She didn't know who he was. Didn't care. She just saw the child first. Nico ate, slow and careful, like it was a secret. Ellie just watched, patient. "I used to draw," she told him, nodding at his sketch. "But my trees looked like broccoli." No reply, but the crayon slowed just a little. "Are you an artist?" she asked. Nico shook his head. Ellie just smiled, like she didn't need an answer. Luis told the staff to bring over the pasta Nico liked, with star-shaped carrots. She was staying, he decided. Ellie tried to make conversation, teased Nico about being allergic to nothing, made him smile, just barely. When the food came, Nico pushed the plate to the middle. "Sharing range," he declared, and for a moment it was just two people sharing breadsticks like old friends. Luis had seen other women bring iPads, ignore Nico, or treat him like a test to pass. Ellie just was. No act, no charm, just present. He wanted to sit with them, to say something, but all he could do was pace the kitchen, hands shaking a little. Ellie joked, "I guess you're my date now," when the real date never showed. Nico raised an eyebrow. "You're a better listener than most men I've met." He broke his breadstick in half, offered her a piece. "That's basically a proposal," she whispered. He smirked. Upstairs, Luis asked for the special cookies, the ones his late wife used to make, to be sent over. He hadn't allowed them on the menu in years. But Ellie had to go. Shift at the warehouse life doesn't pause for sweet moments. She scribbled a note to Nico on a napkin, left her number, and slipped out as quietly as she'd arrived. Luis found a napkin later. It wasn't for him, no flirting, no angle, just a thank you to a little boy for sharing bread, dinner, and silence. Nico folded it up, put it in his hoodie pocket. She was kind, he said simply. Luis promised they'd see her again, but didn't call that night. For the first time in years, Luis couldn't sleep. Not restless, not exactly longing, just unfinished. Curious about the woman who didn't ask what he did, only if his son liked to draw. The napkin burned a hole in his pocket. He wanted to call. He almost did. But a woman like Ellie deserved more than a midnight text from a man who hadn't even introduced himself. The next day, over dinner, Nico said, she said, boxes don't judge, repeating something Ellie told him about work. We should bring her something, Nico added, out of nowhere. Luis didn't argue. He checked the reservation log, found her shift details. That night, he packed a meal: pasta, soup, ginger cookies, and a note for Nico. Drove to her warehouse, nervous as a kid himself. Found her in a safety vest, hauling crates. He handed her the food. She saw him, really saw him. You're the guy, she said. No warmth, just truth. Ellie figured it out quick. The kid was the test. She was the subject. This was the reward. Luis told her, quietly, it wasn't a setup. It was dinner for someone who gave away her bread. She turned away. I didn't ask for this. I know, he said. That's why I came myself. She looked at him, tired. You watched me, didn't you? He nodded. But not to judge. Just to see if you'd treat him like a person. That made her pause, really pause. They stood in silence. Luis left the bag, said goodbye. When Ellie opened it later, on top of the pasta was a cookie and a note from Nico. Thank you for not looking away. A toy car, old and battered, his favorite, was tucked inside. On its roof. Now it's yours. Always has room for someone kind. Ellie nearly cried. No one had ever given her something precious just because. 3 days passed. Luis didn't hear from her, not a word. Then, early one morning, Marco waved him over. There's someone for you, front of house. There was Ellie, in the same old coat, holding a lunch bag in the toy car. She wasn't returning, itched, added a sticker. Round trip, still room inside. They talked quietly by the window. He misses you, Luis said. I missed him too, Ellie replied. No talk of fairy tales, just an invitation: stay, eat with us. She joined them, just an hour before her shift. Nico hugged her. They ate together, no tests, no games. When the cookies came, Ellie laughed. Best date I've ever been on. Luis raised an eyebrow. Even though I didn't say a word for the first two? You watched, she said. Sometimes watching is louder than talking. Luis offered. Want to eat with us again? No hidden tests. Ellie nodded. But not dinner, breakfast. Because I've never had one where I wasn't rushing. Luis felt his heart open, something he thought was locked for good. They made room for her at the table and in their lives. When Ellie left that day, she felt like she was coming home, not leaving. Later, at home, Nico asked, is she ours now? Luis knelt beside him. No, but it's your own. But can we be hers? Looking at his son, at the napkin still in his wallet, Luis whispered, we already are. Some endings don't come with fireworks, just a knock on a kitchen door. Luis opened it to find Ellie holding lunch, looking shy but steady. She joined them, sandwiches and tea, laughter and quiet. Nico drew a picture of 3 chairs, a car in the middle, and the words, my people. Ellie blinked tears away. After lunch, she gave Luis a blue lunchbox with a sticker reserved. Inside, a note. I never had a table where I felt safe sitting down. Not until now. If there's still room, I'd like to stay. Luis answered by setting a plate beside Nico's and pouring her more tea. Then stay. That's real love. Not magic or grand gestures. Just the quiet building of trust and bread and belonging. So, what do you think? Does kindness always come back around? Or is the world too sharp for that? Tell me below. Do we earn our seat at the table? Or do we make space for someone who needs it? I'd love to hear what you think about second chances, about the right way to test a heart, about whether you believe in these quiet kinds of happy endings.